Welcome to Make Your Money Matter. I'm your host, Brad Barrett. I'm also a managing director and partner here at One Capital Management. Today on the show, I'm going to talk to you about 4 reasons you'll likely change or blow up your retirement plan during your life. But before we get into it, make sure to smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. All right, let's get into it. Friends, life never stops, right? It never stops changing. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, but it never stops moving and changing. And if you think about it, when we relate it to a retirement plan or our investments or our money, really it's your life's all about your needs and your goals, right? And you should plan to adjust as your landscape shifts. We talk about the numbers a lot, but it doesn't really start with how much money or you have or how you invest it. Rather, it's the numbers and strategies that are following your needs and your goals. And guess what? Life never stops happening. So it's best to be prepared when it comes to changing a retirement plan when life changes. That's what we're going to talk about today. And I've likely, friends, changed my retirement plan for my wife and I probably at least twice just in my early part of my life, right? My retirement plan in my early 20s was simply to live by the beach. I wanted to work, I wanted to save, I wanted to invest, and I just wanted to live at the beach and surf. That's all I wanted to do, right? And that was everything in my life. Meeting my wife and having my 2 beautiful kids changed that for the better, by the way. But that changed my retirement plan vision as well. Now, the past couple of years, we actually as a family moved to Hawaii, spent some time with our family. I have a lot of family there. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to come back to the mainland. I'll continue to work. I love what I do. And I'm just going to, retire there at some point. We moved back to LA. That changed. So I'm sharing that simply to say that in my young life, like many of you, I've already changed my retirement plan twice. And likely, like you, I'll change it again. I mean, when you think about it, when I talk about blowing up your retirement plan, what I really mean is replanning. You're adjusting your plan to reflect your new situation and your new desired future. I mean, take it from a man who knew a lot about blowing things up. If you want to use that vernacular, Dwight D. Eisenhower, he said this: plans are worthless, but planning is everything. Look, it's impossible to know exactly how your retirement plan will, or your retirement in general, will unfold, especially if you're watching or listening here and you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, or maybe you're in your 50s. But there are some common motivations, I think, for changing or blowing up a retirement plan. So here are 4. Number 1 is this: your retirement doesn't necessarily meet your expectations. Disappointment, I think, here is the gap between expectation and reality. And we all see that in different walks of life. And that's to some how people find retirement, believe it or not. And I've done this for nearly 2 decades now, and I've seen this firsthand. They actually at first find retirement as a disappointment, which to many of you might seem like a shock. I mean, after all, how will you know whether it is or isn't until you live it? I have a 7-year-old son right now, and he's getting into sports. And as we go on to new teams and he's doing tryouts, he loves these sports, but it's hesitant because it's new, right? It's changing, and we have that even as adults. Even though we're older, we still have that 7-year-old mentality sometimes around new things and changes. And a lot of times for retirement, it comes to, and that's now what I thought, the media tells me I'm supposed to be sitting on a lawn chair or on a beach or on a porch sipping lemonade, reading a book, but that's not how I want to do it. And it didn't really match my expectations. So the first thing I bring up here is that there's a gap, I think, between expectation and reality in retirement and ultimately retirement lifestyle. For example, you may have a million things you want to do in retirement only to find that none of them actually makes you happy. So you have to change your plan. Again, blow up your plan. So be okay with changing your plan. Number 2 is this: new identity. Friends, believe it or not, once you enter retirement, you almost could forget who you are. That's because there's actually a psychological shift that takes place leading up to, and I think during retirement, and it can be for the better or for worse, okay? There's actually research that has been published in the scientific journal Current Psychology that really suggests that workers who identify strongly with their jobs but have few other social interactions outside of work struggle with post-career identity change. So what I want to say with number 2 is this: be okay with changing and understanding how your plan evolves with who you are while you're working, and then ultimately, potentially, who you are when you're retired. They might be different. Just be okay with that. Number 3 is life changes. Your life changes in big ways. It always does. It always will. Life can always find a way to even get messy, right? We all can agree with that. So no matter how much money you have or how old you are working, or maybe how old you are when you're retired, maybe it's things like the kids moving back in, maybe we lose loved ones, maybe we find new love, whatever it might be, life changes. And that's okay. We need to make sure that your plan, your retirement plan, and your investments change with it. And fourth and final, the world. The world changes in a big way. Sometimes there are weeks where decades happen. You feel like that before, right? And I mean, the world changes dramatically all the time. Just think in the past couple of years, right? With the pandemic, it's a great example, right? I mean, everything from geopolitical conflicts to technological advances, massive amounts of change can forever alter the way we live now, and then maybe we live in retirement. I mean, the one thing that we all can be certain of is this: there will be uncertainties. So we need to plan for all of those. And I want to put a bow on today's episode around the meaning of wealth, because I think it ties in here, okay? If life can be so uncertain, then why make a retirement plan in the first place? You might be thinking that, right? Why make an investment plan? Why discuss all of these things? And I've had these questions asked of me as an advisor. And I mean, it's going like, what's the point, Brad, of sacrificing some things today to save for a future that we don't know will actually come to fruition, or if it's going to change my own expectations of what I want it to be now? The answer is and always will be this, friends: options. You create and follow a plan to grow wealth, because wealth helps you pivot in life, changes in life, as painlessly and seamlessly as possible. Don't take it from me, take it from a guy like Chris Rock. Believe it or not, the great comedian, he said this: wealth is not about having a lot of money, it's about having a lot of options. And friends, I cannot agree more. And all the reasons I mentioned today on the show, having a lot of options is priceless when planning. Hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, make sure to subscribe, and always remember to make your money matter.